Welcome to The Generous Life on the Frontline podcast, where we discuss how we use our labor, influence, finances, and expertise to impact the lives of others. Oftentimes, we've been coaching one-to-one or leading classes of attendees regarding financial discipleship or stewardship. What if you could take a whole congregation through financial discipleship? Well, you know what? We have that church today. Crossroads Grace Community Church out of California is joining us today. They have two of their leaders, Heather Lee and Ed Applegate. Well, Heather and Ed, thanks a lot for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us on.
Thanks for
You
having
bet, you bet. Now, what church are you all with again?
We're at Crossroads Grace Community Church in Manteca, California.
And where exactly is that in California?
So you hit San Francisco and go east and stop about halfway before you get to Yosemite.
Okay.
So it's right in between
Right
there.
in the middle.
Right in the middle of California.
Excellent. Or do you have forest fires in that area?
Not where we are, but you go kind of east a little bit more and you'll start hitting some trouble.
Yeah.
That's when that stuff starts to happen. Okay. Well, listen, do us a quick favor. Each of you individually, kind of give us a perspective on just you, your family, kind of what your role is there at the church. And then tell us about your FPU experience. If you're on a baby step, just kind of give us a little insight on both of you. Thanks.
You go first.
Yeah, so I'm Heather Lee, and I'm the group director here at Crossroads. So that means I lead our small group ministry. My husband and I have been married about 13 years, have two kids, entering the teen years, which is a new adventure. But we started FPU, and our story kind of started about 10, 11 years ago when we first were married. And finances was something that was just kind of, it brought a lot of anxiety and fear for me to talk about the budget and to sit down and have that budget meeting. It wasn't something that was really modeled for me growing up. And so learning how to do that early in our marriage was really essential to really being his partner. My husband's a math teacher, so I just relied on him to do it all. But really it taught me initially how to take ownership, right? And to be a better partner. And so fast forward, having our church go through it, I'm just excited to have more families change, right? And become better partners and owners of their money. And so that's kind of our story. What I do here, I say I get the best job in the world because I get to lead leaders and invite people into community. So that's what I do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And I'm the executive. My name's Ed Applegate. I'm the executive pastor of ministries here. Oversee all our different ministry pastors and directors. And so I get to have some fun doing that. I'm married to Kaya. We have 5 kids, and we have a lot of fun with that. It's been a very busy season. Our kids are ages 10 to 5. So we've kind of headed out of the diapers, which is awesome, and some of the toddler stuff, which has made life a little simpler. Yeah, we're in baby step 4, 5, and 6. We're kind of working those 3 steps at the same time right now. And college is obviously weighing on us with 5 kids to get through college, but we've got a plan that we think will work to get them through without any debt. So that's cool. I used to really not like Dave Ramsey. Take me back about 5 years ago, and I thought the guy was a hack. I didn't like his Southern accent. I didn't like his approach to everything. It seemed like everything was too simple. And I started actually reading some of his material, and I'm like, hey, this kind of makes sense. And then actually what got me is I started listening to his podcast. I started to understand the guy's heart. And when he dealt with a single mom on the phone, or a guy who was a little bit too big for his britches, both of them, and his heart and the way that he dealt with them was so awesome. I got to understand his character, and now I'm his biggest fan, I haven't drunk the Kool-Aid as much as other people out there, but I am a fan, and I would hope when we pay off our house, it would be kind of fun to go out to Nashville and do a little Desperate Scream or something.
That would be a great time. So were you already holding FPU classes prior to launching Momentum?
Yeah, we've been doing classes here on and off for a number of years. Kind of risen and fallen different leaders who come and take it, have taken the class. And so the last couple of years, we've been doing it pretty consistently. And so we had about an alumni of 200 or so that had gone through FPU going into Momentum.
When did you all decide we want to take this to another level for a church? What were some of the driving factors for it? Then what kind of really set it off?
We, about a year and a half ago, we were having some conversations around discipleship in the church. And we kind of started, we've gone through a lead pastor transition in the last 2.5 years. And so we started to relook at some of our systems and discipleship being a core, part of that and our spiritual formation. In those conversations, we came away with 2 specific areas we wanted to work on. And one was FPU, and the other was just a kind of a more of a spiritual formation approach, the disciplines, if you like. And we decided, hey, we gotta look at both of these areas. And about a year ago, I went to a Momentum training. And part of the idea going to that training a year ago was to determine, are we going to do Momentum first, or are we going to do a disciplines kind of more formation, spiritual thing first? Coming away from that and some more conversations, it was pretty clear, let's do Momentum first, and then we'll hit next year, so fall of 2018, we're going to hit some spiritual formation stuff. So
okay, 12 to 18 months out. I've heard that talked about before. So what's this been like, this planning process? What have you learned along the way as you've been preparing, as you just launched your first class? So kind of what's the preparation been like, Heather?
Yeah, I think prepare. I think, a year ago, it's gone by so fast. Thankfully, Momentum offers excellent coaching to help us along the way, to create those deadlines and to coach us through it. But really, we typically do a church-wide once a year. And so to expect this fall, kind of knew what I was going into a little bit. This was a whole nother, monster of launch and promotion and recruiting. And so I think out of all of this, I've just learned there's nothing that beats the personal ask, and preparing is essential. Being steps ahead, dotting every I, crossing every T, and just going back and circling back and making sure that you've got it all ready. And having those deadlines early is important. So
give us a perspective on your all's church. What's our regular attendance? Well, let me back up from the regular attendance. How many are your core families? Let me ask you that. How many core families do you have at your church?
Core families, I would say we probably are about 300 core families.
Okay.
Our average attendance on a weekend is around 2,200 right now, something like that, including kids and everybody.
Okay.
We just celebrated our 30th birthday yesterday. Yes. So we're 30 years old. We've only had 2 lead pastors. We got 1,200 signed up for the Momentum process. So kind of over 50% of our church is involved in Momentum this fall.
So talk about that promotion side real quick. Now, again, if I'm not mistaken, Heather, I think I saw in your post where you said you're doing this middle school up.
Yeah, so this is actually first grade through adults. So we in the planning and the stages, we said, this isn't going to just be for adults. We want families to change, and so let's get our kids into groups too. So we are doing 1st through 6th FPU Junior. And then 7th through 10th grade, Generation Change, which is the students' curriculum. And then our 11th and 12th grade, which is our senior high school. They're actually doing FPU with us, the traditional Dave Ramsey adult program.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. That's really wise.
Yeah.
So promotion-wise, I think it's about, it's kind of, to borrow the expression, it's about momentum. And so you start with your core leadership and you work your way out, and it's kind of trickle down. Obviously there's some big flashy stuff that we'll talk about, but also it's got to have that genuine sense of, we're not hyping this is real. So we started out last spring, kind of after a few months of planning, we started with all our staff went through FPU. We paid for our staff to go through FPU. So that was all 30 staff. And their spouses were welcome to participate in the class on site, or they could watch the videos at home and that kind of thing. And then our board went through FPU at the same time. And then we kind of went to the next circle and said, okay, who of our next core leadership need to go through FPU? And so by the beginning of summer, all of our core leadership had gone through FPU. So everybody knew what we were marketing.
Okay, let me stop you right there. Let me ask you this question. This question. There are going to be coordinators on this thing going, how is it possible that the leadership of the church bought into this? Or what would you say, how do we communicate for those who have a church where they just don't feel like their leadership gets it? They don't understand what the value of financial discipling people is and what that looks like. How would you help them to see how they can share this?
Because we got a guy in Modesto who you might be familiar with, Ross Partridge, who he did a debt-free screed recently, and he's just an awesome FPU advocate. But his church just said, hey, not right now. We're not going to do this right now. And this guy's the most awesome FPU advocate there is. And I think part of it is probably just building up that alumni within the church and those stories of life change to the point where people can't argue with it anymore. They get to the point where, okay, so I would just keep that work of just doing the class and sharing those stories, making sure your pastors get the group snapshot at the end, and, just continue to work that until leadership can't step back and go, they can't argue with it anymore, in other words. So they get to the point where they go, hey, just like me, you know what? Dave Ramsey thing kind of works. Yeah.
Life Change is what our church is all about. We're trying to get better at sharing that story, education, celebrating, all those different things. We're quote a mega church size church but yet we're always trying to learn how we communicate more effectively with our group. So take me to this point. So you've got your leadership teams gone through it. Now let's take it to that next level. Now we're going to try and figure out how we're going to start getting everyone else to start buying into what we all now have a strong belief in on what we want to do with our congregation. How did you start sharing that message more to get more people to also get the 1,100 to say, let's go?
The thing that we were nervous about going into this, it wasn't so much people wanting to participate as much as will they pay the money to participate. Okay. And so that was the big thing that hung over us as we thought about promoting this and trying to get people on board. And so our coach, in talks with our coach, some things came out that I think really helped us in this area. First of all, we as a church committed to subsidizing this. So we could say, hey, instead of this going to cost you $100 to go through, we're going to subsidize it. It's going to cost you $65 if you sign up before August 15th. Okay. So that's over a month, that's a month out from launch. You have to sign up, and if you don't sign up by then, it's going to cost you $85, which is still cheaper than the $100. But because we bought way back in May a bunch of kits, we got them at the $77 rate with the free shipping. So it we worked it out that in the end, with the subsidy and selling them after at $85, it was going to work out. We're going to have to put in like $800. Well, it turned out we blew out the water with the number of signups, and we actually it didn't cost us anything to give the subsidy in the end. But the other thing we said is, look, if you pay the $85 and you go through 7 of the 9 weeks and you say this is bunk and you don't think it's any good, we will give you your money back. We put ourselves on the line in a sense. We said, look, we believe in this so much that we were willing to give it a money back guarantee. And so I think that kind of helped people relax a little bit and go, okay, they really believe in this thing. We also use the idea of this is a meal out. You'll go out to the restaurant on Friday night and you'll spend $85. And what will you have left? You'll have an empty wallet, you have a full stomach, and the next day you got to eat again. This will change your life. FPU will change your life. It's $85 that will change your life. And we believe in it. Okay, so we took some of those core things, and then we made a goofy video that was kind of about the fact that this is worth it, and that was the title of our campaign. We named our campaign "Worth It."
I saw your website. I'll make sure I take some screenshots of your website. It looked really good.
Yeah, so we built around that theme of worth it. And then we did some testimony videos of people's lives who had changed. We started showing those every week. Kind of in the last 7 weeks, we showed a video each week of somebody's life change and what happened through that. We did a sermon series in the last 3 weeks called Worth It, covering, the fact that I'm worth it, my family's worth it, and God's worth it. And so each week promoting this. So it was kind of this crescendo. Started out a long time ago with just the leaders and saying, hey, this is going to come. Believe it or not, it's coming. And then we built and built and built and built until last weekend we had 250 people sign up in one weekend, and it was like
we ran out of kids. We had to buy more kids.
Went crazy. We didn't have enough leaders. We're forming groups in the rooms. Hey, you're the leader. Last night we're like, hey, you're the leader of this table right here. Believe it or not.
You have no idea what we're doing, but you are the leader. Here we go. Read some questions.
Yeah. Well, and our coach in the beginning said, you're going to have more leaders than you know what to do with. And I thought, oh my gosh, recruiting leaders is one of the challenges for me. No, we have so many new leaders just by saying, guess what? You're a group. Someone's going to lead. Who's going to be?
Yeah. You have now made the list. We're going to put you on the list. You have now made the official list as you're a leader. Yeah. We found out you can lead. So here we go.
Yeah.
And that's one of the benefits of doing momentum and this is really important for a person who's trying to talk to their church about going through momentum it's not just about FPU. It's about community. Okay. We've got more people in groups through doing momentum than we've ever had. Okay. And then it's about leadership. You want to train up leaders. You want to get them to learn discipline, to learn, skills of facilitating and all of those kind of things. Hey, momentum does all those things, so.
That is great. That is great. Do you take me through let me ask you about pushback. So do you have one or two examples of pushback you received? And I'm going to give you an example. This is from people, kind of challenging you all. What are we doing this for? Talk a little bit through that.
Everybody was for this thing. It was so easy.
Everybody, please attend Ed's Perfect Truth.
I know. Yeah.
Why didn't you kick us off?
Oh my goodness. So naturally there are skeptics. I mean, clearly there's more than Ed on the universe. But what we did, just after that, staff went through and our board went through and our core leaders went through, Ed and I actually had a series of meetups. And they were meetings that we invited alumni to come to. But then we also invited, and they were vision casting meetings. So we were we want you to come and enjoy. We had a dinner, and then we had meetups with snacks. And we said, just come and enjoy. Here's some interesting, exciting things we have coming. Teaser. We got them around the table, and we, just shared the vision of what was to come, and offered an opportunity to donate for scholarships. We'll talk about that. We should talk about that. We had a lot donate for scholarships. And then just answer any questions from any skeptics. But we're able to have one-on-one conversations with those that maybe weren't on board. And so then any that we heard, from others or from just negativity that came back, we faced head on and just went personally to them and said, hey, could you share your heart with me? What's going on? Specifically, an example I have, for those of you that are groups leaders, know that you have some of those groups that are kind of the us four no more, shut the door kind of groups. They meet forever. They're never going to have an open group to invite anyone new, but they're just their huddle, And I personally went and visited a few of those, faced them head on, and met one specific group with just they're sweet women who just want to continue to meet, but they did not want to do this. They were all of the retired age and older, and they just said, we don't need this. We're past this. And so then it was just me specifically taking the time to go to them and saying, we need you to sit next to people and next to couples that need this. And with your wisdom, whether you are debt-free or not, whether you have kids in college or you're done and you're ready for retirement, you have wisdom walking alongside others that need these tools. And you being on board is supporting Crossroads, it's supporting our leadership, it's showing this church that this means something more than just money. It's about the heart, right? And that change, that transformation that comes. And honestly, the ladies that told me, even after that meeting, Scott, they said, we're just not going to do it. And I said, that's fine. And, there was a time where the group was just going to just break up in half. We're like, well, you cannot meet on site. Like, we just hardline. Our facility is going to be used for Financial Peace University. Gotcha. And because of that, they were like, well, we're just going to go off site. And I was like, that's fine. Not going to meet the challenge. You guys go. God bless. I'm not going to promote. No joke. Those ladies, at least 2 that were the most negative, are now leading groups because of the time that I took from the beginning to share the vision, to pray for, to spend time with, to personally talk with them. And then our senior leadership being on board. Man, you get your senior leadership on board, the congregation is going to get on board, whether it's, early adopters or those last weekend signups.
Okay, that's a great example right there. And you already talked about, you kind of had your from the front moments. You had your from the front moments of you gave video time to it. You put it on the website, that's there. But then you started teaching and preparing people. And that's just a significant part of this. There's already not enough going on regarding financial stewardship, very often spoken about. Most often, as we always hear, it's because we got to go build that next building or we got to do that next thing.
Yeah, and we were very careful with this, Scott. That was one thing I was going to add in terms of minimizing detractors. Is we were very careful not to say this was anything to do with the church's finances at all. This had nothing, and really, we hope that maybe this will influence giving, but we did not do this for that reason, and we were very careful not even to mention that. Even though we think that there will probably be an impact on that, we were very, very, and we had some video testimony where we actually cut out clips where people were talking about that, because that's not why we did this.
Right.
And if anybody got a hint of that, they were going to become the biggest detractors because they were thinking we were doing this for selfish reasons. I think that's where the subsidy helped. I think that's where the money back guarantee helped. It was like, we are doing this for you. We want to do it for your family. So the video testimonies talked about how this is transforming your family tree. We're doing it for your kids. We're doing it, and so people really got that. They didn't get, it was never about the church in a sense.
Excellent. There's that phrase out there. It's not what we want from you. It's what we want for you.
Exactly.
And that is exactly what you're saying. We have tried, we have a couple different, align your heart with God is something that's been written internally by one of our folks at our church. It's kind of become one of our baseline studies that you go through. And, that's all we ever say. It's got, guys, this is about you. It's you managing God's money. You're going to be your call, your decision. We just want it for you, man. We want you to do incredible things with the gifts and talents you've been given and what you've been allowed to earn. Go. We're setting you free, and we're just hoping this just gives you a little bit of extra that you've been looking for.
Well, and using their feedback, those that maybe were not on board from the beginning, using that feedback to then specifically promote the next weekend. So, for example, we heard a lot of, I don't want people looking at my numbers. I don't want people knowing my business. And so we just spoke that from up front in our promotion. Hey, we're not here to look at your numbers. We're here to give you the tools to do better and to learn. And it's not, so just using that feedback in your promotion and in your vision casting.
Yeah, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday on site, we're deconstructing our auditorium right after third service and putting tables up, and it's fun.
It's fun.
We're going to be positive for the next 9 weeks about it. You have a handful of offsite groups, but this has presented us a really unique opportunity to have all the groups in the same room and bring just a real energy to the groups. And then also, obviously, with that, we're providing childcare on site, 1st through 6th grade, and then 7th through 10th grade curriculum. So that, and that was part of the promotion that I think really helped, that people saw this as for the next generation, and that we want, a lot of people do things for the kids that they wouldn't do for themselves. And they're going to class because they want their kids in there. And that's been really cool to see.
I was thinking potentially momentum was something you did instead of morning worship service, that they kind of did momentum classes for 9 weeks, that was kind of the class. That is not how it's suggested. This is outside of your normal worship time.
There have been churches who do Momentum who, instead of doing the kids classes the same time as the adult classes, they will do them on Sunday morning during Sunday school for kids. We, from the beginning, said, no, this is going to be all the family on site at the same time, learning the same sort of stuff. Because we knew that getting the whole family here would make it easier for everybody to participate. We have a lot of young families, and if they were going to jump on board, and they're the ones who, and this is going to have the longest impact for, we need them here for their own life change. And so we knew that doing the kids groups and the student groups at the same time is really important. And so now we're full, and we have more families want to participate. And so we've already said, hey, coming in January, we're going to do a group. We're not going to do FPU the way we used to do it. We're going to do FPU, or we're going to do Generation Change, and we're going to do Financial Peace Junior all at the same time with childcare. We're going to be really committed to this being something for the whole family.
Again, I just go back to the example of our church, and I look at, we have spent 30 years not talking about money, and we've been very blessed along the way. We're very fortunate that due to what's given already, that our pastors can just pastor. Our teachers, they just teach. And that's great. The challenge is this: for all those who found our church 30 years ago and 20 years ago, they were already pre-taught somewhere else about giving.
Sure.
And that is where, and it's again, not just about giving to the church, just about stewarding well. And giving, they were taught that at other churches. And it wasn't coming from our church specifically. And now we are starting to see ourselves pick up time, talent, treasure, talking more about stewardship, talking more about generosity. Doing these things, these words are starting to become who we are in our core. And because people are starting to say it more on the front end, where it just wasn't, how it was handled before was so negative, I guess, but yet you were taught the discipline. There was discipline that was formed. Now we're just, now that, not from you, but for you is so critical in how we communicate.
Yeah, so we're going to come around at weeks 6, 7, 8, 9, and we're going to do another series tied into Momentum. So we launched it with Worth It, a 3-week series to kind of crescendo those signups and get everybody pumped about this. Towards the end, which is when people start to kind of fizzle a little bit,
And the holiday.
and we're gonna come back and do a series called Generous. We stole the title from another church. It's just Gener US, and it's going to be exactly what you're talking about, Scott, with time, talent, treasure. And the funnest thing we can do with our money is give it away, and really celebrate what God has done amongst us during these few weeks. And look to the future of what that's going to look like, but really getting that value that we're stewards. So that will kind of end this with a big celebration the weekend of Thanksgiving. We're gonna announce our group snapshot, which conservatively is going to be over $1 million swing. It could be potential of multiple $1 million swing, which would be amazing. Can't wait to announce that number, and just celebrate it, together. Celebrate stories of students and kids who've got the concepts, and adults, stories of life change there. So it's just going to be this is a culture changing thing for our church. This is going to change our church forever. So.
That is, I think that's the big, it's next level. I mean, I think that's what you saw probably when you went to the Momentum training. As you said, we actually have an inside of vision for next level. And that's just so critical. Guys, we'll just wrap it up. We appreciate you. Thanks a lot. Is there any final closing comment, Heather, Ed, that you'd say? How do you encourage, or what do you say to these coordinators sitting out there going, man, I got the passion. I wish they would just do it. I don't know, just, because they're already doing great things by leading a class, leading 5, leading 40, some are lead 100. But what's the last minute thing you want to just share? Last second deal.
Yeah, I would say we all start somewhere. And so whether you have 6 families in your group or you have 1,200 people in groups. No matter where you're at, we start somewhere. And so we couldn't possibly be here without one person saying, yes, I'll lead. So if that happens to just be you, stay in it. Keep going. You're doing a great job, and you're helping train. You're leading the change of people's lives. So whether you're leading, like I said, small or big classes, don't stop. You are leading and making an impact.
Yeah, the big numbers are great, but greatness isn't about numbers. At the end of the day, it's not. It's about the life change of those individuals, and we can, if we flop this thing and no lives change, right. You know what I mean? It's about, and so enjoy what God is doing through you as you lead these groups and seeing individuals. I mean, you're already seeing it. We're all seeing it. And enjoy that, and then continue to share that with your pastor. Just, hey, everyone's, don't get, be the squeaky wheel who shares the good news with the pastors. Hey, this is what's been happening, and they'll begin to capture it. And when the time's right, the time was right for us to do this. If we had tried, if somebody had come 5 years ago, the time wouldn't have been right.
No.
And so it was our time. And we'd be happy to help any churches out there with any of this stuff, pass on anything that we've learned, the mistakes that we've made that we wouldn't, would help you not to make, because we certainly made some mistakes along the way. Fortunately, not any fatal ones, but
that's right. That's awesome.
This in week 2, so
yeah, that's all good. And Heather, thanks again.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Scott. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Yeah. Bye. Thanks. Bye.
It's not what we want from you, but for you. Remember that phrase. Ed and Heather, thank you so much. To watch that just all come together when they shared their words today, just from, it simply started out as some classes. And then, hey, leadership, would you take a look? But you know what? It took the stories where they were celebrating life change. Are you doing that at your church? Are you doing that in your community? Celebrating the life change and the impact that's being made by teaching about financial discipleship and using both coaching and these classes to come together to make that happen. What a great opportunity. Just keep pushing forward. That's all you can do. You can only do all you can do. And along the way, as you share, hopefully it will keep growing and growing and things will start to develop. You are making an impact. Thanks again for joining our podcast today. You have been on Generous Life on the Frontline podcast. We talk about how we serve regarding our labor, influence, finances, and expertise, and the impact we make on the lives of others. Have a great week.